Hi, Rodrigo. It's Elle from the upcoming. Lovely to meet you. Congratulations on this fantastic series. If we could just start by tell us a little bit about the series of Woolpack. What's it about and what can viewers expect?
Viewers can expect a lot. There's a lot going on in the show. There's a lot of mysteries, action, entertainment. But what I really like about this is that we are trying to use metaphors. The monsters, the creatures are big metaphors to discuss anxiety, depression, the wildfires, the relationship between nature and man. This sort of, the separation that man did from nature and the consequences of that. So there's a lot of discussions that I find very interesting. Still, it's a show that it's very entertaining and you get the chills, you get the twists and turns everywhere, but you care about the characters. That was the first thing that really called my attention when I read the first episode. It's a pretty unknown territory for me. I've never done a supernatural show. I've always thought about, well, maybe one day I'll do it, and I thought the script was great. I really liked the part that they offered me for in this show. But I think the viewers will be in for a great ride. But also, I think Wolfpack can play a big role, in normalizing conversations for the youth, about anxiety, about depression, isolation, especially after pandemic. So many people suffering from anxiety, and it's been stigmatized for so long, So it's very important to have those conversations.
Oh, thank you. Well, that leads on to my next question. Sort of what was the appeal, when you opened up the script? And can you tell us a little bit about your character and who you play in the series and kind of the journey that you go on?
Yeah. So what appealed to me was like the story, the way it was told, how much I cared for the characters by the end of the first episode, and all of those things that I just described, like how cool was to discuss those important things, but using the language of a supernatural show and using metaphors. I thought that was a cool thing. But then the character connects to me on a personal level. Garrett is a park ranger, sort of like a guardian of the forest and nature. And I have always been very connected to nature myself. I grew up, my grandpa used to have a farm. So I grew up with animals and trees. And so for me, that's something that I never explored in a character before. But also being a parent of two teenagers that, have a specific condition, and I thought that would be interesting. I'm a parent myself, but my daughter is only 5. So I thought, well, it will be interesting to explore that. And Garrett is in a real deep conflict with morality because he serves a community as a park ranger, but inside his own home, he's got a lot of secrets that he has to hold. So this is a man that is, when you meet him, the introduction of the character is already something that really called my attention because he's opening up about his feelings. You barely met him and he's already talking about all. I'm like, whoa, that's a way to introduce a character. So yeah, I mean, all that was just adding. And then I met Jeff Davis, we did a Zoom, and I really liked his approach to the story, his vision, and how open he was to shape the character together. So all that.
You work with Sarah Michelle Gellar. I mean, she obviously has this fantastic, tie to Buffy, so she kind of knows where you're coming from with this kind of genre, and obviously a lot of 90s kind of films, of the same sort of thing. What was that like working with her as a co-star? I know she plays an investigative journalist in this. What was that like, and did she kind of help you shape your character on screen?
I wouldn't say help shape my character, but I will say she was very helpful for me to understand this world, to understand the language, the tone, because it's my first time, and she has so much experience. Also a great scene, partner. I had so much fun. She has a great sense of humor. She has like the best sense of humor, and everything is dark. The scene is supposed to be really tense, but then she will say something funny, and then it's just, it was light. I thought it would be the opposite. I'm like, oh my God, dark creatures, werewolves, monsters. It's like, how do I do this? It's going to be all like really heavy. The opposite. I had a really pleasant experience working with her. She's an icon, in this world. And we got along really, really well. And we did build the relationship because there's a lot of interaction between Garrett and Kristen, the character she plays. So we're still building it, but we had a good time, having conversations and trying to build details for the characters.
And I think also, obviously, it's quite, as you say, it's quite dramatic. You're in a kind of forest scene. What were some of the challenges of shooting, especially at night and especially in a forest with, the fire going on, the forest fire? Was there anything
well,
that kind of
fire,
challenging?
the fire sequence was a lot of fun. It was challenging because it was really hot. It was really hot. It was Atlanta, humid, heat. And I had the wardrobe was like massive. I have a mask and all that, and I'm sweating and running around, and it was tough but fun because I do like to do, action scenes that you have to work with your body, and scenes where the character is in a very extreme situation. So I find them very. I just have fun doing those scenes, But I think that the night shoots are, after a while, it's exhausting. It gets gnarly. It's like, and we had a lot of night shoots, so that was the biggest challenge.
And what were some of maybe the standout moments from this? What are you particularly looking forward to viewers kind of getting hold of and seeing? Is there anything that stands out to you?
Oh my God, you just won't see it coming. I didn't see it coming reading it. So I would come to set and say, Jeff, I know why. You're doing this because of that. He's like, nope. I'm like, oh, then it's because of this. Nope. And I had no idea. So he's a master, of just literally moving the story and the characters and the twists, and like that's like really amazing the way he masterfully, managed to do that. So I think that's like the end, like the 8th episode. I was shocked and excited.
Obviously, you've got Jeff Davis on board with this, and he's done Teen Wolf. What do you think is the appeal then of the supernatural teen shows like this?
It's a great question. I'm going to get a little philosophical. I think the fact that we're dealing with supernatural creatures that don't exist, but they actually do, because they're and Wolfpack really tries to do that. Use the creatures as a metaphor for what we feel are the monsters that are real, but they're all here. So the horrors that our fears are, what are the horrors that throughout our lives we have to deal with in our minds, and the monsters, the ghosts that we create or that they're alive inside us, and how we fight with them. I think that's why in this show we try to discuss anxiety, depression, isolation, especially after pandemic, so many people suffering from anxiety. And we have Everett, the character that suffers from anxiety, but all the characters are exposed to stress and feelings of anxiety. And I think that's very cool because it could normalize conversations about this that have been stigmatized for so long, especially for the youth. There's so many kids suffering with severe anxiety. And somehow I think they get attracted to this world because it's a world that it's a projection. It's a world that it's fantasy, but maybe not. until what it's like you flirt with something in your imagination that it's allowed to imagine those monsters, but somehow they're connected to the monsters, maybe inside themselves. That's sort of like my theory on why they're so drawn to those. Of course, there's the chills, there's like you feel you like to feel scared, but also there is a connection to that part of the human nature that somehow, even unconsciously, when you're young, especially when you're a teenager and you're trying to figure out who you are, trying to find yourself, and you're looking for things, you're trying to grab things to identify with. And, I think it has to do with that.
Oh, well, I think we're out of time, and thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for talking to me. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you. Have
Bye.
a good
Bye.
day.